Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Forza 6 with another autocross car build. My vehicle today is the very highly requested Toyota AE86. Now, this is expected to go relatively fast. I would say small, lightweight, supposedly good handling. Quite how it's going to turn up. My main fear with this car is it might be a little on the oversteery side. If it isn't oversteery, then yeah, I suspect this will be a pretty damn quick car for this autocrossing. Right, I shall start, as I always do, with the handling parts, of course. Building this thing up to A-Class, I'm going to want to get as much in the way of handling parts onto the vehicle as I can before I start worrying about engines. I don't know yet if I'm going to do an engine swap with this one or not. We're going to see what it comes out with once we've got all of these handling parts on the vehicle. I'm kind of half tempted to go for a turbo rally engine, even though they are the most awkward things in the world to work with. I kind of think if a turbo rally engine works in something, it'll probably be stupidly fast. If it doesn't work, though, it's stupidly hard to drive. So, yeah, we will wait and see what PI we have to play with after sticking in all of these handling parts. We're down to 1,896 pounds. That is very, very light. So we should probably be getting decent power to weight ratio in this car by the time that we are finished with it, and most definitely going to be wanting the Forza aero parts on here. The rest, I'm assuming, are all heavier options. I don't think we can, we're not going to be saving weight with them. So, we might save weight with the bonnet, possibly. We do. Well, we might have to come back to that if we have a PI to find, or we have a little bit of room to play around with. Right, engine swaps. A huge number of engines to choose from. 2-litre i4, 2.6-litre i6, the Turbo Rally engine, 5.7-litre V8, or 3.7-litre V6. Now, they are all heavier than the standard engine. I am kind of tempted by the Turbo Rally, I will be honest, for this car. I fear that it may be a little too much for this car. I'm probably safer sticking that in something four-wheel drive rather than something rear-wheel drive. We may keep the standard engine. What have we got in the way of, whoopsie daisy, aspiration swaps? We can go for a single turbo or a supercharger. I will take the supercharger out of these two. I'm gonna build up the standard engine for this car, and we'll see where it comes out at. Yes, good. We got some more weight out with the exhaust, and I'm hoping if I do this, we will dump some. Oh no, that adds a little weight, which is unusual. Yeah, I guess sometimes I thought the superchargers normally when you upgraded them, it lightened it a bit, but I guess if it's a much bigger supercharger, then the fact that it's a better quality one or whatever. Yes, it's still. We're still going to be very, very light. I'm hoping that we will have enough parts in here. In the engine, we should probably get it to A. I'd be surprised if this doesn't get to A-Class with a standard engine, considering this is pretty much a full handling build on this car. The PI point should rack up pretty quickly when we start fiddling around with this. I think we're probably going to have to go camshafts in this, definitely, if we're going to want to get it up towards the top of A-Class here. We will stick in some of these. We're going to get more power out of this than I was expecting. I was not quite expecting to be getting up towards almost 400 horsepower in this vehicle, considering it is so very, very light. I have just realised I've forgotten a little bit about this stuff over here. Let's go and stick this stuff in. There we go. That'll get us some PI points pretty quickly on there. We will. Oh, we can't quite go full driveline. I am surprised by that one. What I may just do is, if we go back here, we will. What one of you? Right, we stick you back there. That'll mean I can go full driveline and I can put the clutch in and maybe a flywheel if need be. In fact, we can go. The clutch is clutch makes a lot of PI points in this thing. Can we go full? We cannot go full driveline. We can go that stage driveline. Sure, we'll go with it this way around, and we will go with the differential as well. Okay. The AE86, 370 horsepower, 271 foot-pounds of torque. However, it is very, very light, 1,875 pounds. I'm expecting this to go pretty quick. if it is controllable. Fingers crossed we haven't got too ridiculous power and torque. So, yeah, I'm thinking we could have quite a quick car here on our hands. So, here we are at the Hockenheim circuit, ready for my 3 attempts at this autocross course. The current leader, the Volkswagen Beetle, has a time of 2 minutes 5.6, and that is a really rather mighty target time. Will the Toyota be able to beat it? I don't know. This stands a chance of going quick. Admittedly, I didn't think the Silvia was going to get as close to the Beetle as it did. This, on paper, certainly stands a chance of going relatively quick, but yeah, the target that it has to beat is such a monumentally fast time. I'm praying we don't have too much oversteer with this car. That is what you don't want, an oversteery car when it comes to autocross. I want lots and lots of grip. Lots and lots of grip would be very nice if we can have that. It seems quite nicely balanced actually through these first couple of gates. The brakes maybe not quite what I was expecting from the car, but I could have just slightly messed up on my own down there. How do we do through here? Yeah, it's quite nicely balanced. I'm pleased about that. I am pleased to report that we don't have a horrible oversteering machine, but like the RX-7. The RX-7 in the back end was very keen on letting go. This, I have no doubt I can get it to slide if I was trying to, but yeah, it's just little bit maybe, but on the whole, it's actually quite a nice composed car to drive. We do have a bit more understeer than I was expecting. I wasn't thinking that was going to be a problem with this vehicle, but there we go. Straight line speed is pretty good as well. That's about 117 miles an hour before getting on the brakes, which is, yeah, that's pretty quick. That's almost as fast as or is about as fast as the Silvia that went around here. So that's pretty good going from the Toyota. There we go. A little bit of sliding. I don't quite trust the brakes in this car. That is one thing. I'm not quite sure where I'm braking. Oh, I've turned in a little bit more turn in there than I was expecting from this vehicle. Get on the power. Are we flat out through here? Yes, indeed we are. Suspecting we're going to have to be a little bit careful through this part here. Trying to figure out the understeer from this is a little bit. Sometimes it seems to have a bit more than I'm expecting. Other times not quite as much. It's a little bit on the peculiar side. It works quite nicely through here. Just drags the car out wide enough to avoid the really arsey gate. Again, we can carry good speed up through here, but you see, then we get understeer through that next part. Okay, it's a little bit of a... that was just my stupid driving on that one there. It doesn't handle how I was expecting it to. I will be honest on that front. It does not handle what I was expecting the AE86 to be, but, oh, careful now, I'm trying to get on the power a little bit too soon. We're going to cross the line with 3 gates hit, so about 15 seconds on the time penalty there. Yeah, it's different, and I think I can work with this. I can deal with a slightly understeery car. On to my second attempt. So, got to cut out the little mistakes as per normal with an autocross run. Find where we can push. It seems to have. It doesn't feel as fast as the Silvia felt very quick. Felt very powerful. This doesn't feel as quick, but it does seem to have a similar sort of acceleration, similar sort of straight line speed. So, we've got to make the most of that where we can. I think again, much like with the Silvia, we don't quite have the brakes available in this vehicle. Also not helped by the fact that we are tending to go quite quick through braking zones where perhaps we aren't going as quick with some other vehicles. It certainly doesn't feel as if it gets stopped quite as nicely as some of the other cars, but it did get stopped down there, which is always good. Trying to be neat as I can through that part. Again, got to go quite early on the brakes through here. I don't think we can quite carry the same. That's pretty good. Can't quite carry the same speed as some of the vehicles have done. Flat out through there, we're going to crack the 120 mile an hour mark down that section. That is quick for an autocross course, and then we just got to wait a little bit through here before we can get on the power. There we go. The back end just now starting to want to come around. Yeah, it's a little different to my normal sort of cars to drive. I will be honest. Get it through here. That you can sort of unsettle the back end with it quite easily, trying to get on the power. But on the whole, it's not got this the horrible off-power oversteer that we saw from the likes of the RX-7. That had some real issues through these fast gates with wanting to go sideways. This, if it's just not that little bit careful with the throttle, it can get a tad unhappy with you. Down towards the hairpin, let the understeer just drag you wide to avoid this gate here. Perfect. Yeah, it is nice through there. One of the nicer cars I've had, actually, for dealing with the hairpin. Now, don't do anything silly as we come through this section here. As I say, that around a tad wide, nothing terrible though. I fear that perhaps this slight understeer, it might not like it too much through here. It doesn't quite feel as nice as the Silvia. Oh, that was unfortunate. Just got it the wrong millimeter, and ever so slightly clipped the barrel there. Okay. It's quick. I'm not sure it's quite Beetle quick, but it's definitely a quick car. On to the final attempt for the Toyota. Got no silly mistakes on that final wheel, most definitely. Yeah, the understeer is not quite what I was expecting from this car. I feel like we just don't quite have enough, again, a little bit like we saw with the Silvia, not quite enough grip almost from this vehicle to really make the most of some of these sections. And this gate here that's coming up, the Beetle, we were like 115 miles an hour leaving it, and this one is 106, 107. You just can't quite take the corner speed through some of the fast stuff in the way that the Beetle could. Now, it can make up for some of it to an extent with its acceleration, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough, perhaps, to beat the Volkswagen. We shall see how brave I can be, though, through here. You can get relatively decent speed out of it down here, and then this part here as well is a great top speed. Very few cars will get up quite as quickly as this, but I think perhaps jumping on the brakes a little bit earlier, trying to be neat through here. Deal with that understeer perhaps a tad better. Not as quite as quick down there, straight line speed-wise, but we have been neater. We've got less wheel spin coming out of there, and trying to get the brakes right down to this part. Is this really narrow gate where I'm not quite trusting the car to get turned in as well as I am expecting it to. Right, so then we're flat out down here. No problems with the back end sliding, which is always good, but get on the brakes relatively early down here to make sure we get it turned in. Back end may come a little loose, nothing too bad though, which is good. Up towards the hairpin. Can we get this one here right for a third time in a row? Yeah, it is pretty good through the hairpin. I quite like the balance through that particular corner. However, for the really tight gates is where we perhaps have a little bit of a problem with the Toyota. I'll make the most, try and get some of that acceleration out down towards this final gate. Yeah, it's here where I think we are losing, sadly, a little bit of the time. Try and get the power down, little slide up towards the line. It's decent. A 207.513 is a good time from the Toyota. The problem is it just doesn't have quite enough turning for some of the more technical sections. I wasn't expecting that from this car, honestly. I thought this was going to handle much more like the RX-7. I thought we were going to see it that little bit more slidey. I thought rear-end grip was going to be the problem with this car, and certainly I do prefer my vehicles set up like this. I hate having a car, especially for autocross, but just in general. I don't like a car with the back end moving around when it comes to racing, so yeah, I feared that was going to be the problem with this, but that's not the case at all. The slower speed turning, it just can't quite do. Just isn't quite there. For some of the corners, that balance is quite nice, especially the hairpin, but for some of the tighter gates, that proves to be a bit of a problem. Either way, though, the time puts it into 7th place into a very, very crowded area of the table. It does go quicker than the Escort Cosworth, goes quicker than the Holden, does beat the BAC Mono as well. A little bit down on the Plymouth Prowler and the RX-7. I mean, we're talking about a second and a half down on the Silvia that went last time, and almost 2 down on the Volkswagen Beetle. And I think while straight line speed is good in this car, it just loses it on the tighter gates. Just not got the turn in quite required. Still, and that's a pretty good time. Drives absolutely nothing like I was expecting it to. And 207 is, yeah, is a very good time for a car around this course. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.